Daddy, please stop. Daddy, it's paining me. Daddy, you are now watching Tales by T/A Tales after Mr. Fay was incarcerated for the molestation of his 7-year-old daughter. Mrs. L made the decision to remain at home with her daughter, Lucy. It has now been 3 years, and Lucy is 10 years old. During this time, Mrs. L has not visited her shop. She prefers to manage everything from home. She has instructed her salesgirl to handle customer interactions, allowing her to focus on her daughter. However, one day, Mrs. L reflected on the past 3 years and realized that she could not continue to neglect her business, concerned that her salesgirl might jeopardize her shop's success, especially now that her husband is in prison and she relies solely on the income from the store. She decided to contact her brother to come and stay with Lucy, enabling her to dedicate herself fully to her business. Mrs. L then called her younger brother, Tundy, and invited him to come stay with them. I need someone to help me take care of Lucy while I walk, so please come around and stay with her while I go to the shop. Tundy arrived with a big smile and Lucy was excited to see him. She remembered all the fun stories he would tell her and all the games they will play together. At first everything seemed fine. Uncle Tundy played games with Lucy and told her funny stories, but soon Lucy started to feel uneasy. Sometimes Tundy will make some comments that didn't sit right with her. Lucy, he will say, "You're such a pretty girl, you know that, right?" he said one day, ruffling her hair. Lucy smiled but felt uncomfortable. She didn't like it when he said things like that. Very soon now all this boys will start chasing after you, Uncle Tundy said. Uncle Tundy was an addict to pornography, which his sister Lad never knew, and any time he watched those videos, he normally plays with his organs to make him feel the ease. That faithful day, Lad was in the shop and Tundy and Lucy was at home all alone. After watching those videos, he went to Lucy and said, "You know what, Lucy, let me start train you now that those boys will soon start coming after you. Let me show you just exactly what you should do when they come, so by then you will already know what's up." Lucy became more uncomfortable, saying, "UNC Tundy, no, I don't understand the sound of that. Besides, why are you coming so close to me like this? I'm not comfortable with this." And started shouting at Lucy, "You are just being so stubborn. I'm just being a good uncle. I want to show you what to do when those boys come, so they'll not take advantage of you as a good uncle that I am." Lucy started dragging with Uncle Tundy, and Tundy was not having it. He forced himself on Lucy, having his way with Lucy, and she cried in pain. "Uncle, stop this, I don't like it. This is painful. This is the same thing Daddy was doing to me." After Uncle Tundy was done, he told Lucy, "Keep quiet and do not tell anybody." He said to Lucy that when your daddy did was father and daughter relationship, this one is different, because this is niece and uncle relationship, and I'm just being a good uncle. I just want to show you the process so that when those boys come, you already know what to do if you tell anybody. Remember when your mom caught your daddy with you and she sent him to jail? But I'm your mommy's brother. She will never do anything like that because she trusts me. Do you know what will happen to you if you tell anybody? You will be the one to die, not me. So if I were you, I will keep quiet. This should be a very big secret. Or do you want to die?" And out of fear, Lucy responded, "No, Uncle, I don't want to die, but I don't like this. Don't worry, yeah, trust the process. With time you will like it. Remember what I told you. You don't have to tell anybody, okay?" This continued to happen, and anytime Mrs. L comes back home, she will Always ask her daughter, Lucy my darling. Daughter, how are you? Hope you are fine. And out of fear Lucy will respond, I'm very fine mommy. Uncle Tund is taking care of me. Little did Mrs. Ladd know that the same thing her husband did to their daughter is what her younger brother is doing to her again every day. Mrs. Ladd left home to work, and each time Lucy comes back from school UNC Tundy welcome her with the same forceful intimacy, the same pain, and Lucy will always cry in anguish, feeling very hopeless, feeling like she has no one to talk to. One day while Lucy was in the kitchen trying to get her food, UNC Tund walked into the kitchen and said to her, you know Lucy, I like the fact that you are cooperating. Remember you said you don't want to die, right? Good girl, you know you are a little princess and girls like you need to be taken care of, so that is why Uncle is taking care of you. Lucy felt a shiver run down her spine. These comments made her feel small and scared inside, as if her own thoughts and feelings didn't matter. As the days turned into weeks, Lucy became a shadow of herself. Even in school she became so quiet and very withdrawn from her usual activities. Her academics began to suffer. Her class teacher wondered what is wrong with her, and each time she asked her, she always say, I am fine, Ma, I'm just okay. Her teacher shrugged it off, thinking she wasn't just serious with her books. One day Lucy couldn't take it anymore. She thought to herself, I think I should tell Mommy. I don't think Mommy will let me die. As Uncle Tund said, this is my pain, and I should tell my mother. As soon as Ladd came back home, Lucy walked up to her mother's room and said, Mommy, please, I want to talk to you about something. And the responded, go ahead. Lucy, I'm all yes, my darling. Before you continue, I brought your favorite biscuits for you. Lucy's face was pale, and her mother said, are you okay? Talk to me, my baby. Lucy stated everything Uncle Tund does with her, and she wasn't even done speaking when her mother interrupted her with a shout. Keep quiet, Lucy, you have started again. Today is my only brother, and he will never do such a thing to you. You are just making this up. You want to spoil my brother's name because of your father molested you. You're just a bad child. How can you say such a thing about your own mother's brother? Let me not ever hear you say it again. That your father molested said you doesn't mean everybody would. I brought my brother to this house to come and take care of you. I didn't ask you to stain his white with these things. I don't want to hear it again. Lucy started crying. Mommy, I'm not lying. This is what Uncle Tund does to me. And before you knew it, Ladd sent her daughter out of the room, thinking she was just exaggerating things, thinking she was just reacting, or probably having daydreams to what her father had done to her before. She said, Lucy, please, I don't want to ever hear you say such things about my brother again. Do you want to drag my family's name in the mud? Why are you acting like this? And she sent her daughter out of her room. Lucy was confused, pained, heartbroken, and devastated. If her own mother wouldn't believe her, then who? Well, after that night she decided to just be by herself and never say a word about this to her mother again. She felt helpless and hopeless, knowing that nobody will listen to her after all. UNC Tund said she was going to die if she said it to anybody, and Tund continued to force himself on Lucy anytime he gets AR Rose by watching the videos on his phone, having his way with her in a very painful and full way. And Lucy will always cry, Uncle Tund, please stop this. Uncle Tund, this is painful. Uncle Tund, I don't like this. Uncle Tund, this is torturing. But Tund would not listen. He kept on having his way with her, and Lucy kept on crying. In pain and anguish every day and every night at school. Each time the school bells rings, it was as if that bell was ringing to remind her of the pain she was going back home to face with Uncle Tundy. She wished she never went back home. She watched every children run back home in excitement, but her own was different. I wish I could just stay in this school forever, she thought, wishing to escape the feelings that awaited her at home. The thought of being around a nun filled her with anxiety, and she started to feel lonely and lost. One day Lucy was in the kitchen trying to wash the dishes. Tund walked in. The sight of him made her stomach twist with fear. He looked at her with a smile, but it felt different, almost too intense. What are you doing here, little princess? He asked, leaning closer with one hand in his trousers. Lucy's heart raised, and in that moment she felt overwhelmed. The weight of her fear became too much to bear. Without thinking, Lucy dashed out of the house, her feet pounding the pavement. She ran down the streets, tears streaming down her face. She felt lost and hopeless. Why doesn't anyone believe me? She cried to herself as she wandered about. Tundy quickly picked up his phone and called Elle, his sister. Sister, Lucy has just left the house. I don't know where she learned this bad habit from. She has tried this before, but I decided not to tell you. Only God knows where she's running to. Sister, you have to come back home. Let's look for that girl, because I have tried my best. Mrs. Ly responded. That girl wants to put me in trouble. Why is she leaving the house by this time? Can't I run my business in peace? Must she always press me? Mrs. L left her shop in a hurry in search of her daughter, with intention of beating her by the time she finds her. Meanwhile, Lucy was still running on the street with no place to go. All she wanted was to leave that house, to just have peace of mind and to be happy. She cried helplessly. Just then she spotted Auntie Fake, her class teacher. A Thai Fake looked and immediately rushed over to Lucy. Lucy, what is wrong there? What are you doing in the street this night, all alone? Where is your mommy? Where is your uncle? She asked in deep concern. Lucy was still shaking and in tears, and she told Anti-Phallic everything she has been going through, how she felt so uncomfortable with UNC Tundy, how UNC Tundy has been forcefully having his way with her. Faka was heartbroken to hear this, and she said, "Oh dear Lucy, I am so sorry you are going through this. You did the right thing by telling me," she said gently. "Your feelings are important and you deserve to feel safe. Don't worry, I will talk to your mom." With anti-fac encouragement, Lucy decided to follow her to see her mom, but this time she felt a little stronger. When they reached the house, Anti-Fake knocked on the door. Mrs. L was already trying to leave the house to the police station. "May I speak with you?" "Lucy is right here with me." Mrs. Ly opened the door and sighted Lucy. She started shouting, even without listening to Auntie Fake, "You this small girl, I can see you want to put me in trouble. You are so stubborn. Where did you learn the habit of running out of the house at this your age? You are just 10 years old and you already learning how to run out of the house." And Anti-Fake quickly said, "Mrs. L, you need to listen to me. Your daughter has been going through serious molestation with your younger brother Tun. She just narrated everything to me. Right now you need to take serious action." Mrs. Ladd responded, "No, no, 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 no. No, don't even say that. My brother is very peaceful and gentle. He cannot even hurt a fly. I'm sure Lucy is still not over what her father did to her. Her father is already in jail. She's just trying to put my brother in trouble, exaggerating the matter, and I feel she's still traumatized with what she went through in the hands of her father when She was just 7 years old, but that doesn't mean she should drag my family's name in the M. My brother is not like her father, my husband, so please fake don't say that. Mrs. Fake said okay, no problem. And Lucy went inside. Elle beat her measly for trying to run out of the house in the first place. That same night Lucy was crying. Tund walked up to her and said in a whisper, I told you would die if you tell anybody. Why did you run out of the house? You want to put me in trouble in the hands of my sister. AB, don't ever try that again, else you live to regret it. That night Lucy cried all through the night after wetting her pillow with tears, feeling very devastated and frustrated. She felt like a shadow of herself. The next day in school, Anti-Fake walked to Lucy in class and said, Lucy, don't worry, I am willing to help you, but obviously your mother does not believe you. We need an evidence, a strong evidence against your uncle. Tund and Anti gave Lucy a small that has a camera and taught her how to operate it and said, you will keep it in a place where you know Tund will definitely come to meet you. And that same day Lucy took the phone with her home and HD the camera somewhere. Just as she was thought, Tund walked into the room as usual and did everything he usually did, but this time around Lucy caught everything on camera. Tund left the room not knowing that there was a camera hidden somewhere that is going to put him in trouble. The next day in school Lucy gave the camera back to Auntie Fake and showed that everything the camera has recorded, and Auntie Faka was happy. She said, perfect. This is just the evidence we need to get Tund in place. Auntie went straight to the police and showed them her evidence, and immediately they swung into action, getting a lot of police officers straight to Mrs. Ladd's house to arrest Tund. That evening Mrs. L was sitting in the living room. Auntie Fake walked in with the police officers and she said to Mrs. L, we are here to arrest your brother Tund for all the atrocities he has committed with your daughter Lucy. And Mrs. L immediately responded, for what nonsense is this? How can you bring police officers to my house to arrest my brother for what? And Anik showed Mrs. L the video and L was dumbfounded. She was heartbroken. Her wall came crashing down and immediately she couldn't believe what her eyes was seeing in the camera. She said, oh no, not again, not even my brother. And then the police officer got hold of Tundy and arrested him immediately. Ladd looked at Tund with disdain and gave him a dirty slap. You are a wicked brother. I trusted you even when my daughter was trying to tell me what you were doing. I refused to listen to her because I never thought you would do such a thing to me. How could you? Tundy tried to apologize, but the police officers dragged him out of the house. Ladd's heart sank as she watched her daughter's distress. Oh Lucy, I am so sorry. I didn't believe you. I should have listened to you. You deserve to feel safe and happy, not after what your father did. I messed up again and I am so sorry, dear daughter. Mrs. Ladd said, hugging Lucy tightly, I will make sure you are safe. This time around I will close my business down or look for someone that I trust to help me, that will give me enough time to look after you. That night Mrs. Ladd made the decision and make sure that Tund goes to jail. She realized that Lucy's feeling mattered more than family ties, and she thanked Auntie Fack for her assistance with Uncle So they gone. Lucy felt a wave of relief. Mrs. L, her mother, promised to always listen to her and be there for her as a mother from that day on. Mrs. Ladine made sure to spend more time with Lucy. She employed someone trusted to handle her business and started running other remote job just to make sure she has enough time to look after her dear daughter. She started doing fun activities with her too, for therapy, just to help her go through the whole trauma easily playing games and talking about their feelings. Anti-fake continued to check on Lucy, and they often play together in the garden. I am proud of you for speaking of Lucy. Anti-fact said one day you showed great bravery. As time went on, Mrs. L thought Lucy more about trusting her feelings and speaking up if something didn't feel right. Always remember, sweetheart, you can tell me anything. Always speak up for yourself when you are uncomfortable with anything. Do not let people intimidate you, especially when you know that thing is wrong. Mrs. Ladd said to Lucy, and Lucy nodded, feeling grateful for her mother's love and support. Even though Lucy felt safer, she knew that healing would take time. She learned that it was okay to feel scared or sad sometimes, and that talking about it is very important. She understood that her experience was a part of her story, but it didn't define who she was, and that was how Tundy left her life for good. And Mrs. L, her mother, made sure that she never experienced any form of abuse or molestation again. Dear viewers, it is important to trust your feelings. Speak up if something doesn't feel right. Always communicate with someone you trust, and remember that your feelings matters too. Are you going through any form of abuse? Talk to someone, talk to a friend, talk to a family, talk to just somebody, and don't keep it to yourself. Just to help you go through the pain and ease the pain easily. Healing takes time, but you are never alone. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope you learned the lesson from this story. A lot of children go through child molestation and abuse silently because their parents are not always available to listen to them, and they die in pain and anguish, feeling lonely and even in their own parents' house. Let's be mindful of who we leave our children with. Nobody is to be trusted, not even our very own family, dear viewers. So if you're a parent and if you're a mother, pay attention to your children the more. Always give them a listening ear when they try to relate something to you, because you never know what exactly they are trying to say to you. Neither will you know what they're going through in your absence. The concept of this story is not to make you feel too emotional, but rather we want to ensure that you have a great understanding of what other children are passing through out there, of what other families are passing through out there, and so that you don't fall victim of it. Thank you so much for watching my story. Please click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification so that whenever I will share additional live lessons, and you will be among the first to receive them. To my returning subscribers, I extend my heartfelt gratitude. Your love and support are truly appreciated. Please feel free to leave a comment. Rest assured, my children will not endure any hardship. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Goodbye.